What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Smoking Tire Podcast. This episode of the podcast is brought to you by the Brio Beardscape. Just about every guy I know owns a trimmer. You know, the battery-powered or plug-in one that trims your hair. And just about every guy has had a bad experience with a crappy one. Either the blades get dull, they start pulling out hairs, they're loud, the motor feels weak, or the battery just stops holding a charge. If that sounds familiar, it's time to upgrade to the Brio Beardscape. I've been using the Beardscape once a week or so for like a year and a half, and I have only charged it once. The battery lasts that long. I think it's like 180 shaving minutes. Think about how many shaves 3 hours of battery would get you. The Beardscape, it's perfect for trimming your face, your head, or your nuts, frankly. The Beardscape cuts better because it has a ceramic blade that's extremely sharp and stays sharper much longer than stainless steel. I also love how quiet and powerful it is. It's not too loud, it doesn't wake up my wife in the morning when I'm using it. Guys, it may be time for you to upgrade yourself to the Beardscape. Go to Brio for Life. That's Brio, the number 4 Life, and use code SMOKING to get my special price on the Brio Beardscape. How about them Continental belts and hoses, my friends? They're still with us for the next month or so, and when you're working on your car, you're thinking about oil, you're thinking about fluids, you're thinking about filters, you're probably not thinking about belts and hoses, but belts and hoses can both cause big problems. These are rubber components that dry out and crack over time. They need to be checked, they need to be inspected, occasionally they need to be replaced. Now you're going to want to use Continental belts and hoses. The Continental OE Technology Series Multi-V belt is the new jam. Continental makes belts, original equipment, for tens of millions of Chrysler, Dodge, Ford, and GM vehicles that roll off the assembly line. Now they've got the aftermarket multi-V belt with the OE pedigree, the OE Technology Series. These belts are phonetically engineered for perfect fit, form, and function. Go to OETechnologySeries.com to check it out. OE Technology Series to check that out. And we've got some Migliore up in this B. Migliore luxury car care products. They're known for making the best of the best when it comes to car care. Their product line is handmade and poured right here in the USA, in Connecticut. And Migliore's Strata coating is a ceramic coating treatment you can easily apply yourself. It adds a ton of gloss, it lasts over a year, and it keeps your car looking great for longer in between washes. It's extremely hydrophobic, meaning water just sheets right off it, making maintenance so much easier. If you live like in California or the desert where it gets very dusty but not really dirty, you can just hose your car off. It's very, very easy. Strata coating has lots of positive reviews on Amazon. Go check those out from real customers. Spring is here. Almost summer, and it's time to keep that car looking good. Use code TST at checkout at migliorewax.com. That's MIGLIORE wax.com. MIGLIORE wax.com for 10% off of their coating. And of course, Auto Tempest is in the game. I love Auto Tempest because it makes my life easier. They don't need to sell me anything. They offer a valuable service to the community. Auto Tempest crawls all these different top car listing sites at the same time so you don't have to, and then compares all of those results to all of Craigslist nationally and eBay Motors. So instead of having a dozen tabs open on your browser looking at the same car listed on 3 different sites and wasting your time, Auto Tempest puts it all in one place for you, saves you time, and because time is money, it saves you money. That's all you need. Go to Autotempest.com, whether you're just browsing around, seeing what the market looks like for a particular vehicle. Maybe you want to pick up something for Radwood. Maybe you need a new daily driver. Whatever it is, start at Auto Tempest because it will save you from having to do double work, and double work sucks. Autotempest.com. All right, on this episode, my old friend Alex Roy is in the game. Alex is one of my first car media people. We met him back in 2006. We have been close ever since. We worked on at Drive together. We did the NBC Sports Show together. I helped when he was selling his book back in the day. And now Alex is one of the nation's foremost experts on AVs, autonomous vehicles, and AV tech. He has a job working at ARGO AI, which is a company producing that type of technology. He's also a senior editor at TheDRIVE.com covering the AV space. And he is the founder of the Human Driving Association, something I am very passionate about, which is not much of anything right now, but ultimately will lobby for the rights of human drivers if and when it seems likely that people want to take our driving rights away. We have a very interesting chat on this episode of the show. We kind of go all over the place, but I think the conversations I have with Alex are extremely interesting for me, and I hope you think so too. Alex Roy on the Smoking Tire Podcast.
Size. Like NoHo Sound style?
Kind of, yeah. It's like I need a little darker, a little more woods. And then you have these members, the windows that overlook the storage area.
I think it's sweet.
Which is rad.
Well, all right, so do I have to call? I want to get my car.
Two kinds of storage, Alex. As we jump into the Smoking Tire Podcast on a Friday.
Wait, the Morgan area is fireproofed, and everyone else?
There's two kinds of storage in Westside Collector Car Storage, my new project. I have hot and cold. That's if you're a single car. Oh no, did I just close out that fucking window? Okay, cool. So if you're up on the racks, what I have developed an app. Not me. I have paid someone who develops apps to develop an app. And what you do is when you're leaving your house, you tell me that you want your car ready, and I get it off the racks for you. It takes, in theory, I obviously haven't done it yet. In theory and based
6 minutes.
Yeah, based on like the Javits Center, right? Like these racks, in New York, the Javits Center, obviously.
Yeah.
If you walk down to like 10th Avenue, there's a bunch of these things outdoors.
Oh,
they have them outdoors.
The public part.
The public ones,
sure.
yeah. But those are the same stackers I'm using. I'm just putting them indoors and they're for private use. So like that's how long it takes them dudes to get them down at the Javits Center.
Well, hold on. I've played some SimCity. So I know a little bit about organization. So
Alex Roy 144 on Instagram is in the house. Follow him, fools.
All right, so
SimCity?
My car is on top of a stacker.
Yes.
And there's 6 cars below it. So
there can only be 3, but okay.
All right, 3.
Yes.
So there's a guy who moves the bottom car out.
Yes.
And then the stacker goes down, and then he moves the other car out.
Yes.
And so what happens if 5 members of Westside Collector Garage Groovy Guy is garage?
What happens if what?
How many people are moving the cars in the garage?
I mean,
what if everyone's a rush for cars?
There's a rush.
You're not guaranteeing 6 minutes.
I'm not guaranteeing 6 minutes.
Okay.
I'm going to do the best I can to get your car off these racks as fast as I can.
And that's why you've got a bar.
Well, that's why I offer hot storage. If you are the kind of guy...
that's the cold storage.
This is cold storage.
I
cold
thought that
storage,
was the hot storage.
Cold is up on the racks. Hot is on the floor.
Okay.
Hot is you're driving in and driving out. Maybe I have to move a car out of your car's way, but like you're driving in and out, like you don't even need to call me. You just show up.
You'll wash my car too? Car's clean?
I won't just because I'm a nice guy, but if you ask me to, yeah,
okay,
of course,
sweet,
of course.
sweet.
Yeah, yeah.
So basically,
we have a detail bay.
So for the young single man with money to burn and good taste in cars,
correct,
you've got the solution.
If you live on the West Side in LA and you want to have a sports car and your living accommodations do not make that a real possibility, I have a solution for you. It's called Westside Collector Car Storage. It opens in September. And get at me if you want in.
I wish this existed like 5 years ago when
Me too. That's when I started this goddamn project.
When I had 8 cars and I couldn't afford to park them. I didn't have enough friends that I trusted to hold on to these cars because actually you were one of the only people I trusted.
I had your Porsche in my free setup for a while. So I had the setup, right, which was a friend of mine who probably doesn't want to be named, and so I won't name him, but you know who you are if you're out there, and I still fucking love you.
Yeah.
He moved to San Francisco and had a building, and he basically said, I'm not really trying to sell this, but I don't live here no more. And you can put your cars here if you become this building's caretaker. And if something needs fixing, we'll call the guy and you just be here when he needs to be here and blah, 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 keep it clean. And you are the caretaker. And I was, okay.
And at the time, I had 2 cars. But 12 months later, I had 7 cars in this building. And yours, you know, and it was like, and then he calls me, and then I got the worst call ever, which was, I'm selling the building. You got to get out.
Well, that's the funny thing is, you know, you see the rise of Radwood, and there are people among our friends who could afford to collect undervalued cool cars, but could not afford to store them.
Yeah.
And if you had this business 5 years ago, I would still own my 88
Your
M6,
Citroen,
my Citroen SM, my 928, and so that's
unfortunately because of where it is,
Yeah.
which is near Westside, Tech, Silicon Beach, Playa Vista. It's not cheap.
Right.
It's not cheap. But you, Alex Roy, live in Manhattan, and so you are used to a certain level of paying.
But you know what's also not cheap is owning a $20,000 Citroen that requires $10,000 a year in maintenance because your asshole friend said, "Did I just fuck up your language limit on?"
No.
Okay.
We are off off the fucking reservation, my friend. You have fun.
Because your friend, he says he's going to store the car, and then he screws up the transmission, and now it's a $10,000 problem.
Yeah. Well, yeah. That could be a problem.
Did I tell you the story about my father's 1977 911 Targa?
The 77, not the 8, not the one you have now.
My dad had like 5 of them.
Okay.
Right. So in 1976. My brother's born. My father had just ordered. He just bought a house at 242 El Camino in Beverly Hills.
Okay.
He had a plan. My mom was hot mom. He's got
your mom was a hot mom.
She's attractive.
Your mom's still pretty hot.
Watch what you say.
She
I
is.
love my mother. So she's a good woman. So my father ordered a Mercedes 6.9 as the family car, and a 911 Targa for himself.
Sort of like this one here, which is a 77.
Like that, but white over black, like black Fuchs.
White over black Fuchs.
And so,
like this.
Closer. Well, that's a 70. That's an 86, I think, isn't it? No, it's a 77.
No, it says 77. It's from Bring a Trailer.
And so the car arrives, and my mother decides she doesn't want to live in L.A. So he thinks she'll change her mind. So he decides to store the car, the 911, somewhere while she changes her mind. And he couldn't find a friend that he trusted not to screw up the brand new 911. So she had a friend named Yasha who was in Lama's class, and she had a husband. My dad says, "Well, he seems like a good dude." He calls him up and says, "Would you mind hanging on to my 911?" He's like, "Yeah, sure." And he says, "Just promise me, just drive it once every week or 2, keep it in good shape, mileage low." 1977. 23 years later, my father's on his deathbed, and
I'm sorry, I laughed.
Now,
I didn't realize you were about to say deathbed.
It's very funny, and he would be laughing today that I'm telling this story. He says we're going over his will, and he says, "Oh, I totally forgot, like the painting, the table, the thing, and oh my God, that Porsche. What happened to that car?" I'm like, "What car?" He's like, "This is 2000." Okay, so. And he says, I bought this Porsche 911 1977, and I don't know what happened to it. I think I left it with this guy. And I'm like, and it's 2000, so I'm thinking like, I want to buy a 996. So he's like, "You got to track down the car." I'm like, "What do you want me to do?" Because it's probably not a very good car now.
Yeah.
He says, "Well, if it's in good shape, that means he respected my instructions to maintain it. He can keep it.
Oh,
but if it's in bad
your dad was a fucking pimp, dude.
Yeah, but if it's in bad shape, that means he broke his word. Sue him." So I track the guy down, and he pulls out, and he's living in Bel Air now, in this like mansion. And the guy's this mint condition, low mileage.
He's got the car?
77 white.
No fucking way. How have I never heard this before?
I just, I'm a busy guy.
Okay.
I love my dad. I want to talk about this. Anyway, so the guy had the car. And he still has the car.
That's amazing.
And of course, looking back today, I should have forged the will and sued him for the fucking car.
Oh my God! Did he eventually like transfer the title to his name and just like assume it?
I didn't get that far.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So anyway,
he still has the car.
Yeah, today. And man,
did your dad?
I could go to fucking Luftgekult with that car.
Yeah.
I'd be like, get the trophy.
Did your dad ever actually drive it?
No.
He never once drove.
No, in fact, he forgot he owned it and bought another one in '87. I own that one.
And
today.
that's the one you have. Yeah. Which actually, that was the first air-cooled Porsche that I ever spent more than a very short time with.
Yeah.
I drove it for like a couple of days when you left it with me to keep it, because you left it for a while.
Yeah.
It was a long 6 months and it's there.
Yeah.
And I drove it and it was absolutely
They're really
lovely.
good, yeah. When
And
they're
I ended up
sorted.
with an 87 myself.
Yeah, they're great. I mean, it's funny because that car has been driven by friends of mine. It's like your million-mile Lexus. Yeah. All my friends, my trusted friends, keep it.
I just finished the Million Mile Lexus article that I wrote for Road and Track. It's for print, which I'm very excited about because, like, to me, like for other people, like, you know, you write for a magazine or whatever, and when I write for another, like a Popular Mechanics, whatever, it's just a column, you know. Here it is. But because I read Road and Track as a kid,
me
like
too.
obsessively, to like be not an old man, like still a pretty young guy, and like have articles about where I'm in Portugal track testing the new Lamborghini, or like writing some crazy road trip bit like in Road and Track, is like really special to me.
It is. It's epic.
And so Travis is doing an issue. I'm sure I'm allowed to say this. I think it's the July issue is like the 90. It's focused on, it's called like Dreamers or something. And there's a big focus on over-engineered 90s cars. And so he said, like, you know, definitely we can do a piece on this, on the Lexus. And I just finished it yesterday. It's 3,300 words.
Oh, it's a good length.
It
It's a
is
good length.
hefty.
You know, when I first started writing for Jalopnik like 10 years ago, I wrote a couple thousand words. I wrote a thing in 2015 about autonomous vehicles, which was like 5,000 words. And Patrick George is like, "What are you doing here, man? Like, what are you doing?" And then later, Johnny Lieberman and I were talking, and he's like, "Is this topic worth that many words?"
Yeah.
And he's like, "I would have made it half the length. In fact, I don't think anyone cares."
It's a very Johnny Lieberman thing to say. It's funny.
Yeah.
So anyway, what's happening?
Well, wait, we were talking about your Lexus. So wait, are you? Someone suggested you were going to do a coffee table book.
Well, that's sort of the thing. In preparing the article for Road and Track, I read, not only did I read Lexus, The Relentless Pursuit by Chester Dawson, which is a 250-page book on the LS400.
Wow.
You should read it. It's kind of interesting, actually.
Is that a real guy? Is that like a neural net that wrote the book?
I programmed 1,000 bots to fucking write notes. And there's, it's a bit of a slog, especially with all the Japanese names, but there's a couple of really key passages. But, and I read that, and I, for the first time, read the Lexus logbook, which I took home when I sold the car, but I hadn't really gone through it. And I read it cover to cover, and I was like, I shit you not, I was almost crying like a fucking Sarah McLachlan commercial. Like it was so crazy how many places and things that car saw.
In
And
100,000 miles.
Yeah, the book is like 100 pages long of people's writing, and it's like on one page the car saw like 40 states. And like I was thinking about like how many gas stations in this country has this car been to twice? Like you could probably plot a crazy map, you know what I mean? Or like how many like shitty hotels or motels has this car visited multiple times with different drivers, like who had no knowledge this car had been here before. And like it just like carried this really powerful spirit, and the book is what's left of it. And
Wait, what percentage of the people who drove the car wrote in the book, logbook? I'll tell you, I didn't, and I drove the car.
I mean, I will allow you to posthumously or
I'd
whatever
like
you want.
to.
I'll allow you to write an entry later and now. But I mean, I think a lot did. Anyone who took it for like a really long period of time did, and some people wrote like a lot.
So you're going to do a coffee table book.
I have been one of my favorite things about the Lexus project was how little Lexus cared. I thought that was so cool that they didn't give a shit. But there are a couple of people at Lexus who I talked to, or at Toyota Comms, who I talked to at, and it's not about advertising for Toyota. I swear to God, I never had that intention or anything like that. But they have expressed interest in the logbook as a coffee table book. And having now read the logbook, I'm 100% on board.
But isn't there someone at Lexus or Toyota, like a historian, like the way like Volvo has or Porsche has?
Probably, but I don't know.
What the fuck is wrong? Like
Nothing. They're fucking cool. They're chill.
They want so badly to have the prestige and history and legacy that a Mercedes-Benz has.
Yeah.
But they don't treat their own legacy. It's living legacies being created with every human that writes in that book.
Yeah.
And they have to respect that.
When I read the book, I was like, dude, this is like the most authentic, organic, like a company would pay millions of dollars
to fake
for
it.
this. To fake it. 100%.
Which is my new consulting business.
Fakeorganics.com. Yeah. Buy that. It'll put it up next to Mobilla Ring.
But this is all the essence of all life.
The book is incredible. I shit you not, the book is incredibly powerful of all the stuff it did. I mean, it's like Mount Washington, Pikes Peak, Bonneville, Mexico. It did the Hot Rod Power Tour. It towed a race car. You know what I mean? Like it's so fucking crazy the number of shit that this car did. It's like the fucking Forrest Gump of cars. It's so nuts.
That should be the name of the book.
No, I was gonna call the book what was it? Brake pads and a tweet is what I was going to call it, because that is the sum total of Lexus's assistance with my project.
Yeah, that is
they gave me brake pads
title.
and one congratulatory tweet.
You know, it's a book like that. It's like when people used to keep service manuals in their car, the service. Like you don't never really know the history of anything unless there's a piece of organic, tangible thing.
Yeah,
and like I guess my grandkids or whatever, like. I can't show them a series of emails and say, "Oh, your grandparents loved each other," with a bunch of email printouts.
Yeah,
you want like the thing that has history. You know, it's like two rock. Proust says like a rock has memory, not inherent to it, but the memory that it was on the ground when you proposed. Right next to your foot.
Yeah,
you know, and things have value.
That car also, it's like I went on a personal level, and I talk about this a little in the article if Travis doesn't cut it out, which he might.
He better not.
I bought that car while I was on the first trip I took with Hannah ever. Mm-hmm. It was like 2 months after we started dating. We're in Hawaii. It's our first trip ever. I get the email about this car. I buy it then and there virtually with PayPal via Vinny Russo. And I'm like, Hannah, I just bought, it was my birthday. I bought myself a birthday present. It's an old, moderately fucked Lexus, and it's in Florida. And I know this is our first trip, but we're going to need to take our second trip in 3 days. And so, she came with me and we did that first trip together.
What did she say when she first saw the car?
She agreed to come if and only if the car broke down, I would fly her home from wherever we were in the country.
Okay.
She didn't want to deal with a headache, but she would go if the car was functional and we were moving. Mm-hmm. And not because she sucked. She didn't suck. She actually had something to do and there was a deadline and she couldn't miss it, blah. But we finished the project. I hit the 1,000,000 miles. 3 weeks later, we get married. So that's my arc that goes along with it. If that matters to anyone else, I don't fucking know. But
yeah, what is it? The movie.
If you were Travis, you'd probably cut that out of the article.
I would leave it. I would leave it because a lot of people make fun of people for the things they buy that they place value on and think what's the cliche, like the dick measuring competition, like the sports car.
Yeah.
And I gotta say that a long time ago, I had bought in 2003. I had bought a Subaru WRX.
I remember that car.
Yeah, I love that car.
Yeah.
And it was I haven't bought very few new cars in my life, but that was one of them. And
did I leave I hope I didn't leave some weird picture up on the screen for too long. I apologize.
I had a silver one, like the Bug Eyes. I loved that car. I spent like $22,000 on it, and I worked on it myself. And I had like the turbo timer and like the stupid gauges and the A-pillar and like the bigger blow-off valve and Alpine stereo on like a wooden thing I bought on Crutchfield. I loved that car, and I went on a first date, and I picked up the girl in the West Village in this car. And I knew that she'd worked for like some charitable foundation and doing something involving like U2, booking U2 and Bono to speak at like events or something. And so I picked her up in the car, and she gets in the car and she looks at the car with such contempt, like just like this like bitter like disgust at the cloth seats and the quality of the interior. And she says, oh, I thought you were like a race car driver into like really nice cars. And I was, and I knew, like, I just met her and I said such a dick thing. And I said, and I thought you cured cancer working at your charity.
And there's still cancer.
And I drove around the block and I just thought I was so angry and I just asked her to get out of the car. Because you don't judge people.
Yeah.
Like it's not the car that has the value, it's how I feel about it.
Right.
Like that Lexus.
The Lexus, the Lexus has no value inherently.
Yeah.
And oh, by the way, I spent $1,200 on it. It cost me almost $40,000 to do that project. But could I have spent $40,000 possibly in a more interesting way than that? Doubtful.
No.
I don't think you could.
Not unless you bought a bucket of bolts and a Morgan body. Right? And that's about the only other. But people I love beautiful cars, beautiful things as much as anyone, but people forget that the value is what is inside us.
Yeah, I mean that car took many people on many adventures. And I hope, I hope the article. I'm very proud of the article. It's a long piece, but I think it reads really well. And if the coffee table book becomes a thing, that I'm trying not to make that about me. I hope it does too, because I think it would just be good. I actually think it would be a really heartwarming thing.
And if Lexus doesn't give you like $1 million to that book, you should tell them that they should donate like that amount to charity.
Yeah.
To teach drivers education or safety.
That would be great.
Yeah, tell them that you don't want a cent, but what you want is them to support driver education.
I would do that.
Yeah, that's a move.
I don't need a cent. I would definitely do it for that kind of thing. We talked about that briefly the other day because I think should we now go into the thing?
Anything
the meat
you want.
thing?
I'm just happy to see you.
I'm glad you're here. Yeah. I have recently become cast as a very anti-autonomous things and robots.
Yeah.
And I don't think that's true. I just think that most people have no idea what they're saying about them and don't understand any of the implications of any of it.
That's true.
Technologically or socially. And I'm not a computer guy so much. I don't understand all the like LiDAR versus blah, blah, blah so much. But I just know where these big fucking gaps exist and that people are really glossing over how long it might take to fill them. And what happens in between.
That's a pretty diplomatic way of putting some of the things you put on Twitter. You sound like a nicer version of how I used to be. I'm still pretty outspoken.
What's the current
bullshit
state of the
bullshit
of the car versus the state of the bullshit?
Well, it depends. I mean,
that's too broad of a question.
It's pretty broad, but I mean, I think it's pretty obvious that Elon Musk is attempting and succeeding in controlling the public narrative of what self-driving is and when it's going to arrive.
Yeah.
But self-driving isn't like a thing. It's like saying like the weather. You know what I mean? Like,
what do you mean?
So, what does self-driving mean? Like the definition is so vague and you can't go in a dictionary and find like a real definition of it. Like the word autonomy, it was until 5 years ago meant like freedom, human freedom of action.
Yeah.
I choose what I do. I have free will.
Yeah.
A baby is autonomous, but it's very limited in its ability to exercise it.
It's in a crib.
Yeah, it's fully capable of making decisions. It's just very limited in scope and ability to conceive of the consequences.
Yeah.
And automation is something else. Automation is when a repetitive tasks are
automation's a robot that welds chassis on an assembly line, right?
Well, yeah. I mean, yes. Again, I mean, there's overlap between automation and autonomy. People call machines autonomous, but the machines have no free will. They have a decision tree that's fixed. So automation is all around us. A watch is fully automated; it has no autonomy at all.
Right.
So where a plane can if a car was truly autonomous, it would be alive, like in the movie Cars, and it would do whatever it wants. And I get in and say, I want to go here, and it says no. That's an autonomous car.
That's our fear, isn't it? That the car that could be a thing.
Yeah, but of course, for that to occur, the car's service and support network also have to be at least if not autonomous, automated under the car's control. So the language itself around all this is just fucking broken. And so like last week, there's like a story about like a self-driving truck deploys like is being tested.
Oh yeah, I saw that. But it's got like 2 engineers on it.
Yeah, but more importantly, it's a driver assistance system. So people are confusing driver assistance with full automation, and they're confusing full automation with autonomy. All different. So what the goal of all technology, there's only one goal, at least for the good people in the world, is to invent technology that extends human autonomy. So for me to be more autonomous, I'd love
that gives you more freedom.
More freedom, more choice. Any technology that limits my choice is bad, extends my choice is good. So obviously escalators and elevators are great forms of automation. They have no choices. They're on or off.
Yeah.
When people talk about self-driving, there's 2 kinds of people. There's the folks that I like who would say, self-driving cars are one more thing in my portfolio of tools. You can own a car, you can bike, you can have a motorcycle, and if you want self-driving too, it's one more choice. And there are companies being built around that extra choice. And then you have companies whose business model is based on exploiting people and taking away your choices. So companies that want to say you will not only do you not need a car, our goal is to make sure you can't own a car.
Yeah. And I want to, and if I can't take it away from you in a regulatory way, I'm going to guilt you into giving it up.
Or I'll price you out of it. I will create like an environment. I will lobby for the next 20 years that you are priced out of ownership, which is, and by the way, that's freedom. If you step out of transportation for a second and look at the journalism, like Ryan Felton, our old friend in Jalopnik, has written some really interesting articles about predatory lending practices.
Yeah.
But if you look back at the history of predatory lending, you can see it in the notion of like a rentership society. The working class people in this country, and not just this country, have been exploited through notions of you shouldn't own your furniture,
right.
You should rent it.
Yeah.
And
rent to own.
Yeah, rent to own. And
lease and get a new car every 3 years.
We all know, because, well, I'm representing Alex Roy here today.
Yeah.
That's like a class 1 fuck down. Like that's just the one. Like,
you should rent it.
Yeah.
I'll own it.
Yeah.
I'll own it. Don't worry about it. I'll own it. You rent it from me.
Miss a payment and you have no bed. You know.
Yeah.
And so, and the notion that kind of predatory practice is going to evaporate is nonsense.
Yeah.
You know, the most important thing we can do in anywhere in the world is offer like financial education. Should be part of
like personal finance, like
personal
how not to get fucked 101. I
because
mean,
what's cheaper today is not going to be cheaper over the lifetime of your lifetime.
Right.
And exploitation of people's ignorance is pervasive. And so we're starting to see that now in technology because self-driving is being sold to us on the notion that it's safer. Well, it better be because I ain't getting that thing if it isn't. but just because but safety alone isn't enough. Like, is it improving my life?
Yeah.
For the rest of my life, or am I just safer? Because full safety is wall E.
Yeah.
They're very safe. They got the milkshake, they got the chair.
Yeah.
I don't want that. And also the notion that I can never own a thing that is safer.
That it's just circling kind of constantly.
I mean, we can't escape the fact that like I chose to work for a self-driving car company, but I did so specifically because I wanted their business plan to win because it's very different from their competitors. And I'll tell you why. Someday, in the next 10, 20 years, we're going to see self-driving vehicles appear in major cities that will be affordable.
You're talking about L5s, level 5s?
No, level 4.
Level 4.
Yeah.
Which is
they work inside a fence.
Right.
Okay, level 5 anywhere, anytime is just never going to happen.
So we're talking about in the very densest part of a city, either as a like public transit kind of thing.
It could be. Or maybe not. There's good, but they're going to...
But limited to 90-degree turns in urban environments, most likely.
They could be more complex turns, but
I didn't mean that.
Good
literally,
weather.
Sorry.
Good weather.
Yeah.
Scenarios, situations are safer. Than bad weather, traffic. Middle of Hong Kong, and so that's going to happen.
So it'll start in Phoenix and spread outward.
But once that happens, the path is eventually that technology is going to operate in larger and larger fences. Mm-hmm. And when the cost of the hardware comes down, the sensor hardware comes down, and the cost of R&D is sufficiently amortized over tens of millions of rides, that technology will be affordable to place in a privately owned vehicle. And so my dream is when I'm retired, I might own a Porsche 911. It's got a steering wheel. I can drive it wherever I want. But if I don't feel like driving, I can engage self-driving mode. And for that to happen, the self-driving technology, the cost of R&D has to be amortized over decades and millions of rides. We cannot stop the improvement in technology. We can't stop it, but we can choose how it's deployed and how it gets here. And so we should choose that it works for us. And so I believe that totally.
Why do you think people are so interested in a car that drives itself as opposed to what I think your and I's perfect vision is a car that you still have to drive,
right,
but that is virtually impossible to crash?
Well, I mean, I in the beginning, I thought this was like a political thing. I thought it was a clear like left-right divide, and that people who are into guns would be into freedom, and people who are against guns would not be. But transportation issues and human autonomy actually cross all political lines and transcend politics altogether. And that's why you see like bicycle people hate electric scooter people. But electric scooter people are actually trying to get people out of cars into scooters. You follow me?
Yeah.
And so like it's almost impossible to clearly define why. But there's this notion of like techno-chauvinism. There are people who literally don't trust people.
Yes.
And they want to remove choice from people. This used to be, and this is often like the pro-gun argument. Well, I'm trustworthy with my gun, therefore everyone should be allowed to have one.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, but it's protected legally.
Yeah.
There's nothing protecting driving legally.
Correct.
And so
it's a privilege, not a right.
And so when you hear the language of safety around the self-driving argument, people always throw out the same terms. 94% of car crashes are caused by humans.
Yeah.
Therefore, humans are evil. Like that leap. That's a crazy leap.
I think and it was discussed by someone who you don't like for a variety of reasons, but I thought he made a good point on another show, which is that most people make the incorrect assumption that driving is very easy, when in fact driving is very hard. If you really boil it down to every little thing you have to do, it's actually quite hard. And that to get a computer to be flexible in thought enough to do much easier things than just driving is we're not even close to that.
Well, let's just step back for a second here. You're completely right. Driving is not that easy. It's hard, and people are pretty good at it.
People are actually pretty good at it.
And if you look at the rate of accidents over time, there are a few things going on. In recent years, accidents kind of seem to go up again, and part of that is just the more vehicle miles traveled, accidents crashes track that. And also distraction, phones have happened. But let's just go back for a second. This 94% number, 94% of crashes caused by humans, and to suggest that humans shouldn't drive as a result is to ignore all the factors around it. 'Cause that's like saying not 100% of crimes are committed by humans. Therefore, all humans should be in jail. All humans should be in prison.
100% of cars are driven by humans. And so actually, like, I'd like to know what those other 6% was happening. What's the other 6%? Like a blowout that causes a rollover
literally
or something?
random stuff.
Okay.
But
so anything non-mechanical?
So that doesn't make any sense because you could eliminate a vast majority of those accidents by just lowering the speed limits or improving road design.
Right.
Poor road design and is a big problem. So those numbers don't make a lot of sense. There's no question.
I'll pretend you didn't say lowering speed limits. I heard you say it.
But remember,
I'm not going to go there.
Guess what happens? As long as vehicles move from A to B at any speed, someone's going to die. So there's an argument to ban all vehicles.
Yeah.
And by the way, self-driving vehicles can never be perfect. And so
where I go with that point is we forgive humans for so much imperfection.
Yeah.
Whether it's how they look, how they talk, how they smell, how they walk, how they dress, whatever we perceive as perfection, we forgive them for being imperfect. Same with driving. Every human fucks up. and goes, "Oh shit, my bad,"
Right.
and we go, "Oh well,
it's
you're
fine.
fucking human."
DUI, no problem.
But if your phone, if your like Instagram freezes,
Yeah.
you go, motherfucker, because
Yeah.
we expect that
Yeah.
to be programmed to work every time. What if that Instagram app freezing? Sorry, Instagram. I don't mean to
Meant
single
someone
you out,
died.
Meant someone died.
Well, here's the thing: people want to feel agency over their own lives, even if they suck at exercising it.
Yeah.
And so the problem here is my problem. I'm fine if someone wants to kill themselves in a car alone on a mountain road. I'm not cool now that I have a baby with somebody who thinks they're a good driver running into my kid.
Yeah.
And so, if that seems hypocritical for me to say with the stuff I've done, I've always exercised to the best of my ability great caution in how I cross the line legally in a car. And so I also know that I have driven while I was tired. Now I have a baby, and I don't want to drive when I'm tired. I want a choice to have a self-driving car. All I ask is that I want to know that the people building it in good faith are building it the way Boeing used to.
Yeah.
Because Boeing is a private company, and over many decades we evolved a system of checks and balances and self-certification, incredibly, with Boeing that worked for a long time.
Up until
humans, because the Boeing crashes were not failures of automation; they were human failures. The engineers designing the system chose to cut corners for profit, and so we need transparency about the humans designing automation.
Yeah.
Because two companies can make the identical product. They may not work the same way.
Yeah.
And
that extends. I just wrote a piece on mobility scooters. And there are two companies in LA, Uber and Lyft, actually, that run the same scooter. They both use the Ninebot ES2. And they are programmed drastically differently. And they behave completely differently.
Interesting.
Even though they are the exact same scooter.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had a real thing with those spin guys at the Ford.
Yeah.
They did not want me reviewing their new scooter.
Well, because you said the brake calipers in the front, not the back.
Yeah,
they got to change that.
All right, so let's just real quick. These guys made a scooter, and like any of those, and it has a cable brake, which is good. Except the cable goes to the front fucking wheel.
Yeah, suboptimal.
So now you are braking only one wheel at a center of mass that is about 4 inches in front of your toe. Okay, that's going to go really well.
Yeah.
I hope you got dental.
Yeah, Morgan Racing's always hiring. So, yeah, I mean, look, as you can see, as you saw, companies that have entered transportation are often filled with people who've never been in the transportation business. They've been in business, and they're great marketers, but they haven't always been designing the products that real people use. And when you see the word self-driving in a media headline, there's the likelihood that people at that company, and there's hundreds of companies in the space, but they're only like 5 real companies. Most of the people there they're not psychologists or social scientists or anthropologists or thinking about the consequences of what they're doing and saying.
To see that, it's bad.
Yeah,
it's bad.
And so they're a good guy. They're good actors and bad actors in every vertical, in every part of life. And self-driving just really touches a bone for people because it's filled with the language of we know what's good for you.
Yeah.
You trust us.
Yeah, and it's our driving standards for humans. Like, to me, it's obvious what's going on. Everybody wants to sell the public a shiny new thing. Yeah. And it's the same shit they've done over and over. And I get it. Technology will move on. This technology is probably inevitable over some very long period of time. But like, it just drives me so fucking crazy that everyone who's trying to sell it to you is going safety, 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 safety. And yet none of them address our pathetic driving standards in this country, our pathetic vehicle inspection standards in this country. I know that's probably against some of the enthusiasts who want to modify their cars in their own way, but TÜV fucking works, dude.
Yeah.
In Germany.
Yep.
Like, that shit works.
Yeah.
And it doesn't cost a lot of money to like implement higher standards. Like it compared to creating a self-driving car system, fuck out of here.
Yeah. I mean, it would be cheaper to implement a lot of safety standards for human drivers than it is to develop a lot of the garbage tech being thrown at us. There's no question about it. I mean, when I was going around last year with Autonocast and visiting all the self-driving car companies, you wouldn't believe how many engineers, people I met at these companies who'd say, "Oh, I hate driving. I don't even like driving. I hate cars. I hate them." And so you can see some of these guys are very committed to their companies
to getting rid of cars.
cars altogether. And then there are a couple of folks at Argo, where I went, and the CEO flat out said to me, he's like, "Dude, I drive a King Ranch F-150, baby. Like eats barbecue. Like the guy." He does the last thing he wants.
That's the dude I met yesterday, right?
Brian Slesky. And, and this guy, he blue collar, grew up in like the west half Pennsylvania. This guy, dad was a steel worker. No one's ever taking his truck from him.
What the fuck is Argo?
Argo is one of the one of the handful of. I didn't come here to represent Argo, but
I know, but it's okay.
I would say they're the good guys. The good guys in self-driving.
Okay,
and there's everyone's heard of Waymo. And so that's coming out of Google. Then you've got Cruise coming out of GM, and then you've got Argo, which was took $1 billion from Ford. And then there's a couple other guys. There's like Zoox. And
so is Argo like Ford's AV Skunk Works ish?
Yes.
Kind of?
I guess Skunk
or
Works.
are contracted out from Ford, basically.
There are only 2 self-driving companies that have real OEM partners, and there's GM with Cruise, and there's Argo with Ford. Waymo's coming out of Google. They've got a tie up with FCA, but it's not the kind of deal that like Argo has with Ford, where there's like a vehicle being developed specifically for it. Yeah. Like GM's developing vehicles specifically for Cruise, and so
is that the thing they're like going to work with Rvian and is that
Rvian?
Oh, is it Rvian?
Rvian. You mean the trucks?
The trucks.
Yeah. So Ford.
It occurred to me I'd never actually spoken that name out loud before. Well, read it.
For anyone who doesn't know about Rvian, it's like that's the electric pickup that like Tesla should have designed and built and failed.
Have you seen one in person?
Yeah,
is it cool?
It's beautiful.
It is.
There's a great tweet for Riley Brennan.
Name sounds familiar.
Yeah, he's probably like the smartest early stage investor in transportation today. He's at Stanford. He was an editor at Autoblog like 15 years ago. He's a good dude. And he had this tweet which summed it up. GM was going to invest in Rvian, and Ford basically, stole the deal. Ford ended up writing a check for $500 million. And like that was like the biggest, what's the word? Snatching victory from the job, or GM was in there first, and Ford got the deal. And this is the future of pickups. It's awesome.
It's an electric pickup, and it's got apparently lots of flex. It's like a skateboard platform, basically, right?
Every serious ground-up EV design is going to be like skateboard. But you look at that. That's the pickup that any OEM that was starting from scratch should have designed.
Yeah,
and that's in the Ford portfolio. So
it's like just EV enough.
Yeah.
Is that what it's going to look like?
It's the one I saw. They have a couple of things coming.
But is that how production-y is that?
I hope that's it.
Yeah.
The thing is fucking cool.
It's pretty hot.
Yeah, it's really cool.
Yeah, it's pretty hot. I like it.
Interestingly, it's that apparently there's going to be an electric F-150, I think, someday, which is a different vehicle, which is not that.
Well, that's weird.
Yeah, it should just be that.
I just spent a week with a Ram 1500 Limited quad cab because I was moving Hannah back from San Francisco.
Does it have that mega huge
photos on my Instagram
display?
It has the big display. It's
like a Tesla display.
It's almost. Tesla is still
size?
better. No, slightly smaller. It's like a 12 point something, and Tesla's is like 15s. It's not as big as the Model S. It's probably as big as the Model 3, but it's vertically oriented, not horizontal.
I don't know why anyone does it horizontal, man.
It looks like a big iPad.
Vertical is what you want.
Yeah.
Because the direction of travel when you're driving and navigation shows a longer path.
Here, this is it. And it has 2 primary scrollers, which I do love.
Interesting.
And it has hard buttons for HVAC, which I also love. I don't like touch screening HVAC.
Agreed.
And what I like here is it does split screen. So I've got CarPlay on the top and then my XM on the bottom, which I think is very good because I use Waze Maps.
Yeah.
And it'll run both at the same time.
I hate how when you're running CarPlay, it overrides
everything.
Everything.
There are some apps that still override it. Like if I pull up Twitter on my handset, it'll override the XM, which is kind of stupid. But overall, look, considering what I deal with in most OEM cars, this is the closest to Tesla that anyone's ever come in an OE setup.
Yeah, I'm driving this Panamera, and it has a 1 volume rocker, like ahead of the shifter, and it has like the most beautiful, like right below my thumb, temperature up down fan speed control.
Yeah,
and like that's what I want in every car.
Yeah,
it's fucking not.
I need a couple of little knobs for a couple things. But like the Ram it's so huge, and you saw it outside. It's like it turns my tandem parking spot into one parking spot, and when you drive these giant trucks, they have those secondary vibrations. You know what I mean? Like when you go over a bump, it's not you get like a double bump from it. But credit where it's due. I haven't spent time in the brand newest of every truck, but this thing for 800 miles is pretty cushy.
How much is it?
It's 70 G's. It's a lot, but you legitimately do get like a $70,000 Mercedes worth of stuff. Like heated and cooled front and rear seats, like 8 USB ports,
that's
multiple
more than most
110
cars.
Outlets.
Sure.
Yeah, like I think there's 12 cup holders in it. Actually, I think there's actually 12
what kind of
cup
car
holders.
do you get for $70,000? Sedan.
An E-Class, like a mid-motor E-Class, or a top-tier 5 Series BMW, or like a loaded up. You could get like a Range Rover Sport. If you're
70 grand is the new 50.
Yeah. I mean, but I just think if you don't actually have a specific use case for this truck, it's so huge.
Hold on a second.
Don't buy bigger trucks than you need, people. Please buy the smallest vehicle you can get away with buying.
Are there places you can't? Cool. Are there places you can't go with this truck because of the size?
No, there's nowhere I can't go.
Is there a valet that won't take it?
Probably if I looked hard enough.
Okay,
yeah.
so
I mean, if I looked hard enough, probably. But it's really hard to park on the street. It's hard to park on the street.
Does it have an auto parking function?
No, but it has a great 360 cam. It has very good cameras. The tech in it for a fucking half-ton pickup truck.
Yeah.
The tech in it is great.
Radar cruise control?
Yes.
All right, traffic jam assist, like down to zero?
Down to zero. And
that's
if you stay stopped for more than a couple of seconds, you got to give the gas a little tap to go again.
There's literally,
you know what's weird about it, though? I swear to God, on the steering wheel, it has the radar cruise functions and also has non-radar cruise functions. Like
two different buttons?
Two different buttons. You can engage a non-radar cruise control. Think about that. Who thought that was a good idea?
That's
radar cruise control is non-radar cruise control until someone's in front of you.
Yeah. I mean, it's actually dangerous.
I fucked up the first time I hit it because I saw the closer, farther buttons.
Yeah.
And then I hit the power, and it was the non-radar one. And the truck kept going. What the fuck is this?
Did you know that like in like the 50s, I think Chrysler had the first cruise control? You know what the marketing name was?
I can't wait.
Autopilot.
Of course.
Can you imagine back then how dangerous it was to market cruise control as autopilot? Like people, I mean, tens of thousands must have died.
That is horrendous.
Crazy.
That's so fun.
Yeah.
But yeah, I actually, as far as giant pickup trucks go, and wait, did I show this? The Ram boxes, they're in the side. This is like otherwise kind of unused space.
That's nice.
And you can fit a lot of shit in there.
Is that a mattress?
That's a mattress. That's why I got the pickup truck to move a fucking bed back here.
How long do you get press loaners for?
Typically a week.
That's nice.
Yeah. If it's like something really high dollar, it might be like 3 or 4 days, but it's usually a week.
They give you a mileage limit?
Only if it's something like fucking deep into the 6 figures.
Did you ever get a truck?
Occasionally I have blown the mileage limit by significant margins.
But haven't you ever been in LA traffic and just wished the thing was self-driving?
Yes.
No, there you go.
Yeah. No, I do. I like that's why I think it's unfair that people say that I am anti self-driving cars, because I'm not. I would happily own my 2 30-year-old sports cars and 1 self-driving eggplant.
Right.
Right. Bean. Sure. Yeah. Basically.
Yeah.
I would.
Yeah.
I'm not anti. What I'm anti is the cultism of it. And the cultism of it overpowering the objective reality of what is and is not fucking possible.
You know what I really want? And I'm 100% with you there. I want to own one that is not connected.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like I want to be able to choose where to go. I don't care if it takes 5 extra minutes to get there.
Yeah.
It's mine. once a year it updates, you know.
Oh, right.
And
Yeah,
I
yeah.
don't want them watching me. I don't want, like, you know, I don't want to be connected.
But we can't separate the two, can we?
We can't. Well, we could. Again, that's a business decision.
We could, but it's not to the Silicon Valley oligarchs.
Again, it depends. It depends because if it needs to be updated for if it's, you know, safety related software is one thing.
Yeah.
But if it needs to be connected to feed us advertising and content, then that's a different story.
Yeah.
Because the ultimate luxury in the future is going to be privacy. And so I remember talking to Mike Musto like 5 years ago, and he's like, "What do you think the future is?" I said, "The future is a privacy button, like your incognito mode in your browser. I want to get in a vehicle that's connected, that's self-driving, and I want to hit the privacy button." Yeah, but I still want to get there and not have
So
to
weird
drive.
how we went from. I really think privacy was like so much more of a virtue like 20 years ago. Like my parents would like. The idea that I put things on social media is crazy to my parents. My parents are like super, super private, but everyone shares like so much now that really no one is private anymore. And I think they were right and we were wrong, actually.
Yeah, my mother won't go near Facebook or any platform, and she has a computer.
My dad won't even let me put a picture of him on my social media.
Interesting.
Like if it's an old picture, fine. But like
Yeah.
if we're on vacation together or something, no pictures.
But he's an important man.
Well, he may have told someone he was somewhere. He was somewhere besides
That's a
fucking
different
vacation with me.
Yeah, privacy. We all have different motivations.
Yeah, or
But
the shareholders or whatever the fuck, you know.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've been told that I shouldn't be exploiting my daughter on Instagram for that sweet, sweet traffic. But then
Dad Rev shared though.
yeah, well, you know, her beloved, sweet, divine baby mama said to me, you shouldn't be exploiting our daughter, yada yada. So without asking her, I went and got Coco Drives on Instagram, and then she said, "Oh, that's wrong. You can't. You shouldn't do that." So I changed to something else, to Coco Danger, middle name. And then a few weeks later, Rebecca, her mother, says, "How could you do that? Coco Drives is a great brand. Our daughter's going to grow up and she's going to hate you for abrogating your responsibility as a parent."
God.
So it turned, but here's the joke, it turned out that Coco Drives was grabbed by someone in like Brazil.
Okay.
And so we sent a message in Portuguese asking Google Translate to get the handle back. And then after like a week, my social media guy, Nick, says to me, "Alex, actually, you forgot that you grabbed it and put up a fake Portuguese."
Fuck out of here.
No, yeah. I'm like, "Oh, yeah, you're right. I forgot."
You're what?
Yeah. And
That's the kind of you're not drinking. That's the kind of thing that people do.
Well, my
when they're really
father
fucked up.
forgot about the car for 24 years. So what's a little social media?
That is an
memory?
excellent callback.
Yeah.
Do you think like having like your daughter being born with an Instagram is like my mom made binders of me. There's like 30 albums on their shelf. Like, are you just using that the same way?
We do have some pictures that are so great that I'm gonna actually put them in like your coffee table
Is she
book.
selling tea already?
No.
Smooth move tea.
Like the coffee table book. Like there should be a tangible, organic.
Yes.
But all of life, everything from steering wheels to ownership to privacy to a coffee table book of memory, the tangible has value. The intangible is commoditized trash.
Well, it's the same thing with like music, right? A vinyl collection,
Of course.
Versus like what's a vinyl collection
Yeah.
versus the fucking password to my Spotify.
If
Like,
your
you know what I mean?
connectivity
Like-
goes down, you ain't listening to the album you want to listen to.
Right.
Yeah, of course. But she, the thing about Coco, my divine angel, of course, is that, you know, any study will show that kids should be separated from social media and screens for as long as possible.
Yeah.
Because the wealthiest, the oligarchs that we criticize,
They don't let their kids use social
absolutely
media.
not. They know
Yeah.
damn well that stuff is evil.
Yeah. Mark Zuckerberg don't let his kids on Facebook.
I know. And yeah. No.
Hannah had to. I'm almost certain I'm not violating anything by saying this, but Hannah had to speak in front of a fucking panel of CEOs from across the world, and she literally had to follow Mark Zuckerberg 2 days ago.
Great.
Like he did a half hour, and now Hannah Stein. Like fuck me.
Well, you know,
She did good, by the way.
The snake oil, that it's not just the self-driving people. The snake oil being sold by consultants and experts and marketers and in every sector has always been the same ever since the dawn of like the industrial age, is that technology will be better than people, and people should pay to replace themselves. Like that's the truth of anything.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day,
Go back to like Popular Mechanics,
Yeah,
1955, or Popular Science or whatever.
So, and people, on behalf of self-driving cars say, well, the horse went away. And my argument would be like, oh, hold on a minute. The majority of people in this world in 1915, the year of peak horse, never owned a horse. Never been on a horse. Maybe they saw a horse. But the car didn't liberate people from horses. The car liberated people, the Ford Model T,
period,
from the cage of industrial era injustice. They lived and worked within a few miles of one place.
Yeah.
And so the car liberated them, not from horses, but from that. The car was supposed to pollute less than horses and trains, but it ended up creating its own, consequences. And if, by the way, if cars didn't matter, just like if painting by hand didn't matter and a vinyl record and playing a guitar by yourself didn't matter, then everybody would play synthesizer keyboards around their necks, which they tried to sell us in the 80s. They did. You know what I mean?
The guitar synth.
Yeah, and synthesizers, instead of wouldn't duplicate piano keyboards, they only had like 8 keys. And you ran around your neck, and this is insanity. And we wouldn't have analog watches. Mm-hmm. Everybody would have. Remember, my dad had like a Casio, like a big Casio.
We value analog things, and every time shit goes a little too digital, we start to get nostalgic. That's why you should buy. You should hold your air-cooled 911s.
I mean, look, at the end of the day, life is a ritual. Let's imagine every technology being sold to us worked perfectly. Nobody cooked. Yeah. Nobody drove. Nobody had to draw.
We're just blobs.
Yeah. Like, what do you do? It is literally WALL-E, but what everybody wants to be is Iron Man. That's what we want. Because the Iron Man suit, no matter how good it works a little better because the guy in it makes the decision that the suit can't make.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
And
Iron Man suit is definitely being flown by a human.
Yeah. The Iron Man suit is 2 things. People forget that it's 2 things. It's both a fully automated combat suit that amplifies human choice. It's also capable of some autonomy.
Because Jarvis flies it,
right?
Yeah.
But Jarvis, if Jarvis was so good, then Tony Stark can drop dead, and Jarvis is the Avengers.
Yeah.
Like think about it.
I don't know anything about this fucking universe. I saw Iron Man 1 and that's it.
Yeah.
But a Jarvis film, I would go watch.
Okay, but would you watch? How many of them would you watch? If Jarvis is perfect and full autonomy is here, and fucking the Avengers franchise is gonna be pretty goddamn boring. Because at the end of the day, we are humans, and shit is designed by humans for humans to be human.
Yeah.
I mean, someday maybe 100% of people will be cyborgs, and then that's what humanity, the center of gravity, the equilibrium point of what life is, will include humans that are cybernetic and improved.
I remember some book from my youth that it's this sort of envisionment of humanity going forward, and it's like we gradually evolve to be brains in jars on metal legs.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like pretty much.
I'm always fascinated listening to you because, there are not a lot of people who are talking about technology and culture and driving and stuff that I love, but also putting some social commentary in there. There's no question that there is a branch of science fiction that's going to come true. And in that branch, brain implants that expand your memory and speed and agility are going to become legal, and they're going to be expensive.
Yeah.
And you're going to have a class divide. And those things will eventually percolate down, as industrialization and mass, production, make things cheaper. But, and like the movie, what was the movie with Matt Damon, where people lived on the orb in orbit and they had free healthcare. The rich people lived in a space station and everybody on Earth was a ghetto. And so what future do we want?
Well, that's what I'm worried about. I'm worried about the people inventing technology to remove themselves from undesirables, and then everyone else getting fucked.
Well, and if you go look at Silicon Valley, it's not monolithic. There are investors. I'm not talking about investors who talk about social good, but there are investors choosing to invest in technology that is democratized, and who want to become wealthy by building democratized technologies. There's a guy named Josh Wolf, Lux Capital.
Okay.
I don't know this guy, but if you follow this guy on Twitter and you listen to him, this guy's he's a thinker, and he is not a guy.
WOLFE.
That's the guy.
Him?
He's a very interesting guy. Lives in New York, and he didn't.
I follow you.
He's a very interesting guy. You know, I don't agree with all his investments. Like he's invested in. I'm not going to name the companies. He's invested in a couple of companies. I'm not convinced, but the case he makes for why is compelling.
Okay,
and he hates Elon Musk. All he does all day long is pretty much make fun of Elon Musk. It's pretty fun.
I mean, because Elon Musk, what the fuck is he doing? Like, what is he doing?
I can't lie to you. I kind of like the guy, but I think he does bullshit a lot.
I mean, I would like him if it's like fucking Trump. I like Trump as a fucking reality show host. I don't want him to be the president. It's the same thing with Musk. You
don't want him to be president?
No. But I also think that whoever was the first guy to do that Tony Stark Elon Musk comparison really fucked it up for everybody else.
It was pretty accurate at the time.
But now fucking people are really taking that shit literally. And they think, oh, well, he has it. They say, oh, by the way, he landed a rocket on a barge. Not the thousands of people that were
SpaceX,
actually doing that. But like, just because you're good at one thing, it does not mean you can do anything. This is a crazy sentiment for people to have.
It's pretty unusual for me to be in a room where I'm the guy defending Elon Musk. That's never been true maybe until now.
Yeah.
I just bought a Tesla. You can't get into a Tesla and not think, wow, I'm so glad this exists. Why didn't this exist? But like you said, there are a lot of people out there who cannot disassociate the successful creation of a thing from the mesmerizing mythology of the person.
Yeah.
And he needs to keep that stock price up. But he is foisting a lot of bullshit around autopilot, self-driving, and it's really bad for the industry.
He is allowed, I guess, and I don't know who would do anything about it, I guess, but his shareholders and his board allow him to fucking say all kinds of crazy shit that ain't true.
Yeah.
With like great regularity.
Yep. I mean, you can't.
Just today,
is it about self-driving?
Right before he went back to the tunnels. He's on the tunnels again.
The tunnel. Oh man, 3 years ago, I sent him an open letter on the drive. I'm like, you said that you're going to send a self-driving Tesla cross country this year. Bitch, if I'm not in that car, it didn't happen.
Yeah.
And it didn't happen that year or the year after, and it won't happen this year, and it's not going to happen next year. What about this tunnel business?
I'll just find it the real way.
Is there anything worse than the tunnel, than the suggestion? Yeah, what does it cost to build it? It's like $1 million.
Millions
per mile.
Yeah. What happened here?
Not optimal.
I don't know. Hang on. I'm afraid. Jesus, Elon. Elon, what are you doing?
Oh, by the way, I'm getting messages from friends at Lexus saying that we have no historians.
We have no historians because 100% of our cars ever made are still on the road.
Yeah.
That's very...
Time stopped when the first car came off the line.
All right. So he's on tunnels again.
Oh, he posted this video of a
YouTube?
Tesla.
Can I play this?
It's really ghetto.
Ew, what is this?
It's a Tesla on the street and a Tesla in a tunnel.
in a tunnel?
Is this LA?
Yeah, because the tunnel's in LA. It's like in Hawthorne.
This really is a distillation of all the nonsense people. And again, I love my Tesla, but this video is so stupid because throughput on a road or a tunnel is everything to minimizing traffic. How many cars can you get lined up on the elevator, underground, in the tunnel, exiting?
Yeah.
So you're just moving.
You're just moving the bottleneck.
Yeah. It's like pinching.
It's basically what LA does with their regulated on-ramps, right? By having these traffic lights at on-ramps, they move some of the bottleneck off the freeway and onto the on-ramp. Right. This is the same thing.
This works to eliminate traffic for the 50 people willing to pay $1,000 to be in the tunnel.
Right, but here, he's talking about another great thing about many layers of interconnected tunnels with ramps and elevators is that they can go from near your home all the way to popping up at a destination.
That's never going to happen.
Imagine driving inside of a shopping mall. That's basically what you're talking about.
Why not just
building
have everyone drive? Everyone drives inside the shopping mall, or mandating motorcycles inside Century City.
Ooh, I like that.
Now you won. Only if
I
you're
think
alone.
LA should start looking a little more like Hanoi. Sea of scooters.
Yeah.
All right. Let's do some fucking questiones from the people. We don't have all that many. But Riley says, I'm looking at Focus STs, but I don't fit in the Recaro seats. Do you have any recommendations? I am pretty sure you can get a Focus ST without Recaro seats. It may be hard to find, but I think it is possible. 6 foot 245 is right on the edge of where you're going to not like those Recaros. I would consider the GTI. Seriously. I lived with them for a while. I would consider the GTI. Also, the Fiesta ST has more comfortable seats. MB is Frenchie. He's a regular dude, and he always has a weirdo question for
I
you.
have the answer.
Suggestions for a Maserati Gran Turismo speaker system. Alex Roy.
Go to a great aftermarket shop, buy a stack of Focal. It's the best in-car speakers you can buy.
Can you put them in cars?
Yes.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah, that's what you get.
Is NoHo Sound a Focal dealer?
Not for car audio.
Oh, okay.
That would be totally gratuitous and biased. I know. But you can just go and get, whoever carries Focal will have some good gear. That's where you go.
There you go. Detached Garage says, I know you've both been critical of Rivian. We may have already covered this, but now with an investment of Amazon and Ford, thoughts on the company and products. I think we already covered that
Kick
mostly.
ass. Yeah, cool.
I want to drive one. Anytime someone comes out with a new car, I don't believe anything until I actually physically drive it.
You know, I'll say one more thing about Rivian. What I love about them is they have not come out and said self-driving. They just said electric truck. When self-driving works, we will add that to the truck. And I will say that I'm pretty sure that when they get around there, I hope they'll go inside the Port family and throw some Argo gear on that. So
all right.
Yeah. But who wants a self-driving truck off-road? Nobody. Like, I don't.
Off-road?
That
No.
makes no sense.
No, even when they include like they do hill descent and hill ascent now.
Yeah.
All the new Land Rovers have hill ascent control, which is cruise control for off-roading. I never use that shit.
Well, I love that thing to drive me to like the edge of the road, and then from there I'm on vacation.
Oh yeah.
You find, like, I want the vacation package. Self-drive me
until the edge of the city.
And then I'm doing my thing.
I like that.
Yeah.
Dude, Demolition Man. It's Demolition Man, self-drive on, self-drive off.
Yeah.
Auto drive.
Yeah.
Demolition Man's happening, dude. Schwarzenegger Library.
Yeah.
All restaurants will be Taco Bell.
Oh, it's a documentary.
Demolition
it's a fucking
Man
documentary.
is
But I mean, another episode we should talk about like the parallel animation stuff, because I want to have the steering wheel that I turn to the wall.
Yeah.
That turns back.
Yeah. Uncrashable car.
uncrashable.
I think that is such a better idea.
But not
than a car
connected.
Not
connected.
Yeah. That works. Anthony says, I DM'd you for advice on working in my passion, ended up not getting the job. Sorry, bud. Any suggestions for building a career, presumably in cars in the New York and New Jersey area? I don't need the work. I want the work. Alex, you're in New York and you're in cars. What should someone in New York do if they want to work? I think there's a lot of car stuff happening in New York.
Is there?
I mean, more than fucking in North Dakota.
Well, I
don't
think
know.
the difference is if you want something, you're not going to have the same psychology as someone who needs it.
Sure.
And I think, that's a big difference. There's probably someone out there who needs it and wants it.
If I couldn't do what I am doing, could literally not do anything else.
Right.
This is the only thing I am capable of doing. So I'm in this game hard. I started this game by picking up my shit and moving to California. That was the very first thing I did. So, you're going to be limited in New York. It's seasonal.
If you want it bad enough, you're moving to wherever the work you love is.
Yeah.
Let me tell you, if someone told me 10 years ago that I was going to be working in tech or AI or anything, I'd be like, out of your fucking mind, I hate that shit. I love cars.
Yeah.
But, when I looked at the landscape, I don't know if I ever told you this. I looked at the landscape of you and Chris Harris and how old I was and like the rise of Instagram and YouTube. I said to myself, I'm not the best driver. And I'm not like the best guy on camera. What am I best at? I am actually pretty good at educating and informing about tech.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to try to be Chris Harris, and I'm not going to try to copy Matt Farah. I'm going to do my own thing.
I think it's worked out.
I'm going to become an expert in this thing that no one else is doing. And I both needed it and wanted it.
I think it's worked out.
So
Yeah, man. I mean, look, for a dude in New York, there's racetracks in the New York area. There are car companies that have offices and press fleets in the New York area. There are dealers. There are aftermarket shops in the New York area. I mean, there's stuff around. You got to go find it.
You know something. Here's an interesting idea, but most car guys are not going to like this. The worst job in America for the last 30, 40 years was to work in city planning or the DOT at a city level. But one of the highest paying, most sought after jobs today, Uber, Lyft, Lime, Bird, Spin, Ford, every car company on the planet is desperate to hire people who are experts in city planning and transportation policy, because every city is going to have to regulate all the tech we're talking about. So if you are a car guy, want to protect that,
you could be like a heavy hitter.
Yeah.
Like you could tell Bird to go fuck themselves.
You want to go work for New York DOT, LA DOT. You want to play some SimCity.
JF work for like the New Jersey DOT?
That was the highway authority. But seriously, it is so difficult to hire a qualified state or city level planner who understands transportation, trains, planes, driving, legal, and culture. And think about the politics. The next 20 years, the fights over how or where we'll be able to drive our cars will be determined by those people. If we don't have people who understand the culture of driving and care about making cities better, then everybody loses.
Yeah.
And, a lot of, so.
Congrats on Coco, Alex. Envious friends. Did you guys have to leave? How has your life changed in general relating to cars now that you're a dad? I think you mentioned before that you don't drive tired anymore.
It changed. So the Morgan, which I would spend thousands of dollars to fix every year, has been sitting unfixed for 8 months. And my M5, which is no greater gem on the road, which stinks of gas from the fuel cell, I won't put the baby in it. So I bought this Tesla so I could move Coco around. But I learned something really interesting, and let this be a lesson to us all. Babies like vibration. Electric cars don't vibrate. You put her in like a cab, she's okay. You put her in the Tesla,
she thinks it's weird. Like
she won't stop crying. It's weird.
Yeah,
she won't stop. You put her in some lousy Nissan Cube with like the submarine windows. Oh yeah, it's great.
You should try putting her in the Morgan. Maybe she'll like it.
I hear a baby seat fit in a luggage rack real good. That's my next video. So.
Cody says, "Can a modern Mustang ever be beautiful?"
They're cool.
I think there's plenty of cool modern Mustangs.
The
Shelbys look great.
Yeah, they look great.
The new Shelbys look rad. Yeah, some of them don't look good. Yeah. You can certainly ruin one. Yeah. You can fuck one up pretty bad.
Yeah.
Start gluing shit on there. Looks weird as hell.
Yeah.
But yes, Shelbys are great.
Cool.
Ben says he's glad I kept the Cassis red.
Nice.
And Alex, you related to Telly Savalas.
No, but he's a winner.
He is a winner.
Yeah, he's a winner.
Heinrich says, could I send you guys an article I wrote to get feedback? Yes, you can. Matt@thesmokingtire.com. And P.S., where is the lost piece of the Milli Milia and auction heist stories?
Milli Milia. I never finished that.
You didn't. You left us all hanging.
Well, yeah.
The world's most dangerous rental car. Such a great piece, too.
Yeah, part 2 of that was really, really good.
Where's part 3?
Well, I wrote 1, 2, 3, and 4, but I never wrote 5.
And what happened in 5? Just give us the short version now.
I'm trying to remember where 4 ends.
Had you crashed? Had you left the country yet?
Let's just say this: 2 of the 4 people in that story I've never spoken to again. Fuck those guys. They try to stick me. One of the guys tried to stick me with a quarter of the bill for fixing the mortgage. It was like $80,000. And but the 4th guy is a great guy, good friends to this day. Mostly I didn't finish it because I thought I was going to go back to Milli Amelia, and I wanted to try to con that criminal car dealer the year later, hoping he wouldn't remember me. So I'm afraid if I write 5, I'll be outed and doxxed, and I'll never get to scam my way to the Milli Amelia again.
We can always. Why don't we just try and get Mercedes to do it like they're doing with everybody else? Yeah, they've got apparently a fleet of Gullwings.
Apparently they'll send anybody, based on what I saw this year.
Magnus went.
No, I'm cool with that.
I don't mind Magnus going. I'm happy. I'm happy.
But some of those other guys. By the way,
Aston Martin's fucking Instagram is promoting someone driving a Vulcan on the Gumball. Aston Martin's official Instagram is promoting
Aston Martin. Wait, is it a press Aston?
It's a Vulcan. I don't know where it came from. But it's on Aston Martin's Instagram. It's lame as hell.
I guarantee that Vulcan will not finish the Gumball. But that's another story. Are you going to show me?
Yeah.
What? Wow. How the brand has fallen.
Look. It's the top. Bro, it's the top 3 posts on their Instagram.
Is that-
and the second 3 posts
But there's
are...
no Gumball sticker on it.
No, but all the posts are talking about Gumball.
Will Aston make it to the poll?
Make it-
Oh, they're not. I guarantee this car is not doing it. It's in like the auction or something.
No,
it's gonna
it
show
is.
up at the start line.
No, it is. Oh, I don't know.
Yeah. I mean,
Mykonos to Ibiza.
if
I
that
don't know.
car drives from Mykonos to Ibiza,
And then underneath it on their Instagram is the On Her Majesty's Secret Service.
that's
Yeah.
real?
Yeah.
That's real?
yeah.
I
Did
thought you
see
were
him?
kidding.
No. When I wrote a review last year for the Bullet Mustang, which I hate the Bullet Mustang. What happened here?
You don't. You're saying the gratuitous, the whoring out,
I'm just tired of it.
the
Bullet was
prostitution.
from 1960 fucking 8. Who cares?
It's also not that good a movie.
It's also not a good movie.
Yeah.
And I wrote this word. I wrote this. Imagine Aston actually tried to sell you an On Her Majesty's Secret Service edition DBS Superleggera. Yuck.
They did it.
And then
They really did.
10 months later, they came out with that exact car.
Who at Aston Martin? Do you want to name names?
Who follows
Do you know
me on
who was
Instagram?
responsible for this?
Someone who read my Bullet article.
Wow. I mean,
That's
yeah.
funny shit,
Yeah.
isn't it? That's terrible.
What's so great about being you is you don't give a shit about calling this stuff out.
No.
Good job.
You have to.
You know, one of the reasons I was so glad the Drive got bought and is privately owned by a friend
they
because
don't
I can
care
say
either.
whatever I want.
Yeah. Can't get fired productions,
Yeah.
bro. I'm the chairman. Cam B, what car tech? Ooh, this is a good one. What car and tech would 2005 Alex Roy be using for a cross-country run this year? And also, congratulations
On Coco,
baby.
and he's got a lot of evidence. Somebody taking too much
there a lot of-
constipation medicine? Okay, I'm so glad all the evidence story has this so much his legacy. What I used today, well, actually, we could do a whole episode about that. But I mean, I guess somewhat. I mean, I'd rather not say. I mean,
You'd rather not. You don't want to endorse a vehicle?
yeah. I mean, I'm not sure, and it would be any different from what I did, other than I would use Waze.
Yeah, I mean, you just have iPads instead of all those Garmins.
It'd
But
be
other
less-
than that, it's the same
less
shit.
crap.
Kinda. Yeah.
I mean, if you're really going to go all out, I mean, to break 2850, you have maybe maybe 20-minute margin you could get. I think 2830 is possible. So you have to. I think it is.
We're approaching
the
physical
absolute-
limit.
Yeah.
You know, there is going to be a hard low.
With current technology,
Yeah,
with
yeah.
100% human driving. I think 2830, maybe 2815 is possible. And I know this because on my failed run, where we broke down halfway, we were targeting like 29 or 28, something close to that. So yeah, perfect weather, no traffic, iPads. The binocular tech is better now. And I used Arnie Toman. You know him?
No.
He does like the C2C. He's a good dude.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
And he's put in some fast times. He had this really beautiful, like, I forget who made it, like binoculars with integrated gyro, like built in.
yeah.
And it was really well done.
Yeah.
Light years better than what I had. Of course, if one could have 2 or 3 spotter planes, it would be optimal.
Multiple planes?
Yeah. Someone, cracked jokes about using like Predator drones and stuff, but like this is not. I think it's a lot cheaper to use humans in the aircraft would be more optimal.
Yeah.
And a bunch of bait cars, but man, it'd be tough to beat that. The real way to beat all this, and I know, and this is kind of why I work in self-driving,
Yeah.
is if you had, if you had, right now, you go get in a car, you have the driver's driving, you have the co-driver is on the binoculars or radios, and there's a guy in the back maybe helping. But imagine if you went from 2 people monitoring the radios and binoculars to 3. What if the driver had some parallel automation? So you remove the speed limit from a parallel automation augmented driving vehicle. You're going 130, 140, but that person's cognitive load. Think about cognitive.
You're free to do some other stuff.
Instead of committing 100% of driving, I can commit 80, and I can participate in the decision making and inflow of data, and then you get to 27, 26. No, I mean, yeah, someday somebody like me with more money and knowledge but maybe me.
Yeah.
will
And
convince an engineer at a self-driving company to remove the limits, because a self-driving vehicle that's 99.69 safe at 50 miles an hour or 80 or 100 is capable of 130. So you remove that limit.
Yeah.
And then you're sitting in the car, and the people in the car are monitoring the sensor inputs and dialing with literally, instead of a steering wheel, I have a dial, 150 to 130 to 120, and I'm turning, and the dial is my risk.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm risking this much or this much, and that's the future.
Yeah.
And you could still die, which is the only measure of manhood.
Yeah.
You know, if
By the way, Alex's movie is coming out. What?
Soon.
Netflix?
Soon. We don't know yet.
We don't know yet?
Apex. Yeah.
The underground secret race
The
across
secret
America.
race across America.
I watched it.
Yeah.
I got a cut. I will not share with anybody. JF didn't trust me and literally stamped my name on every frame.
Yeah.
It says Matthew Farah.
No, it doesn't. Does it?
Yes, across the whole bottom of
Well
the fucking
done.
movie. Good job, JF. I really liked it.
Yeah.
I thought it actually had the best elements of my favorite previous cut, the original JF Tom cut.
Yeah.
And it added what I wanted more of, actually, which was George Egoloff.
Oh, George, yeah.
I wanted more George Egoloff, and George Egoloff, for the 99% of you who've never fucking heard of George Egoloff, is the dude who did 5 Cannonballs on a motorcycle.
Yeah, and the Express.
And what did he wrote? He wrote a CBX. Actually,
he was a motorcycle dealer.
This guy was the most hardcore motherfucker. Wait, hang on.
That's not
Did I spell his name right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah,
that would
this
be
guy.
him. And wait, is it? No, here. Oh, I need a better picture.
I think that's his dad. No, that's
Is
not
this
him.
his kid?
That's Carl Reese. That's not so wrong.
Where
That's
is-
him.
That is definitely.
That's
okay,
the.
sorry.
He is.
So here's the guy.
He is the most badass guy.
Come on, load. He's
the guy.
This dude would do solo cannonball on fucking motorcycles and do what? Times in the 40s?
Yeah, he's the guy. Well, I think I don't know what his fastest express time was, but he's hardcore. And he said something in an earlier cut that isn't even in this cut, where he says, you know, competition is built into us. It's genetic, and sometimes you lose, sometimes you win, sometimes you don't. And you know, he died a couple of years ago, and I always wanted to see a movie just about him.
I think honestly that there could be, you know, scripted an actual
George Egoloff
an
movie.
actual this is from your original cut, I think. Oh no, I can't. Don't play that.
This is from the website, from the old website.
Play 8 seconds of it, but that's. Go watch this. I don't know what is it. What is this? Is this a what
this
is this?
is a clip from the old 3207 YouTube page of him. You know, there is a guy that no one talks about after Egoloff, who
Who's
I
that?
think is really the guy.
Who's that?
His name is John Ryan. He was inspired by Egoloff and some other folks. Ryan won like 5 or 6 iron butt motorcycle challenges, and in 2008, John Ryan, this guy
right here?
this guy, he drove from Prudhoe Bay, Alaska to Key West in like 86 hours
On a fucking bike?
on a motorcycle.
Oh my
and
god!
He showed up at my.
Oh, here, right here. Is this it? To 2,000 miles in 24 hours?
No, that's different.
That's
guy.
something
No.
else.
John
That's Carl
Ryan.
Reese.
Yeah.
Sorry.
So
Different
John
guy.
Ryan shows up at my house with the bike, and he's wearing the same suit. This suit, it's like or maybe he was wearing like a NASA astronaut training suit.
Yeah.
And he, I couldn't believe what he said, and 86 hours in this motorcycle, and he says, "Yeah, man, I trained wearing this suit. I would put food, I would put water bottles in all the pockets because that's how NASA trained. I guess the NASA suit, I don't know.
It's very heavy
So,
or something?
and then over the course of the drive, he would drink and eat the contents of the pockets. And he was a bar bouncer. And he volunteered to teach me how to ride a motorcycle because I wasn't very good. And we became friends. And a few years later, he texted me. I texted him back. He didn't respond. And I Googled him, and he was hit and killed by a distracted driver in daylight in New Jersey. And
Sorry, that's me. I apologize.
and the irony of having like one of the greatest human motorcycle riders in history
Killed by a distracted
driver. A book was written about him called "The Man Who Would Stop at Nothing."
Wow.
Which is a great book
Is it
title.
worth reading?
I didn't read it. and he or Egloff.
Long distance motorcycling's endless road.
Yeah. He or Egloff, one or both these guys deserve better than they got.
Yeah.
And
well, I'm glad. I'm just really glad Egloff is in your movie as much as he is.
Yeah.
There's a nice chunk on him, and I think it's aside from the main plot of the film, it's really one of the better side stories.
Agreed.
I think it's really sad that a lot of those guys have passed away in the last couple of years.
Well,
I'm glad the movie is gonna
Yeah, I love actually how JF did at the end, like pays tribute to each guy, and the story is like not about me or our drive. It's really about everyone who's ever done this.
Yeah,
and I think it's really important.
It's a very interesting movie. Yeah. I mean, it's really and also it's very fun and entertaining.
Yeah, it's good.
There's a lot of characters in it, beyond 2006 Alex Roy.
Yeah, and I'm glad because I would never watch a movie about a guy who wrote it, directed, produced it, invested in it. It was all the guy. That book. That movie is called The Room.
5 more before we get out of here. Benjamin, how long before autonomous tech wrecks truckers?
I don't think it's going to happen.
I think
never, because A, was a truck driving shortage. B, we need again, trucking requires humans if not in the truck, then managing them.
Yeah,
and
even if the truck itself did the driving, like someone's got to do all the other stuff.
Yeah, there's a company called Starsky Robotics. There's another one called I forget, but Starsky's the one I always think of. And these guys, their model is to have like teleoperation centers, like the way drones operate for the military. They have a lot of technical hurdles to cross before they make it. Yeah. But the guy's argument, hey, you should have him on the show. Stefan Seltz-Achmacher. He's hilarious. He's also a great player of Civilization and Age of Empires. And he's a young guy. But, set aside the technical challenges, trucking is a tough job because you're away from home for a long time. And if truckers could stay at home or near home and still manage the trucks, if they can cross the technical hurdles to get there, then there is something to be said for that technology. You'll still need people on both ends to do jobs.
Yeah.
You should talk to someone who's in that sector. And again, there are two.
Would you maybe you'd move the drivers to like transfer centers or service centers or whatever, and the trucks would drive themselves to those centers and then be dealt with there?
It's possible. I would say this. One of the ironies of being in journalism in any sector, and I know you know exactly where I'm going with this, is the assumption is because you're a transportation writer that if asked a question, you are the expert on every possible thing that goes on transportation.
Yeah.
That's absolute bullshit.
Yeah.
I know what I know. I know what I don't know.
Yeah.
And you should have not one but two people from trucking here to talk about that.
No, that's
because there are people inside trucking who disagree about how to use technology to improve it and add automation and autonomy.
I would like to have, if you can set that up on an email or something like that. Yakov Smirnov says,
that's not really.
No. Interested in an F10 BMW, the 550 specifically, seems like a performance bargain. F10 M5s are 50 to 100% more money. Is it worth it to own an M car? You say no, Alex? Is the driving experience that much different? Not so much anymore. Is it, especially now that, F10s still have the dual clutch, so that's the difference. Now that the M5 is an automatic, the lines are blurred even more. Dual clutch, big power, and M cars do have much better resale.
I would also say that in the future, all of these cars are going to be very enjoyable to drive in an era where we may have less choice.
Yep. I agree. I would also consider an M3 if you don't specifically need the rear seat room.
I would also say E39s in great condition. One sold on Bringer Trailer today for $29,500.
That's good.
So if you're looking at anything more recent, you're out of your fucking mind.
Jordan says, why didn't they start with self-driving autonomous pothole-filling trucks? I'll invest in that shit.
There are a lot. Look, there's a lot of... yes. Yes, there's a lot of tech out there. Look, the first great industrial robots were the ones that went into Fukushima.
Yeah.
And if you're watching Chernobyl, you're going to wish you weren't a firefighter. You're going to wish there were autonomous firefighting robots.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of lousy jobs people don't want to do that are best done by robots. And pothole filling, maybe I think is going to last longer than some other things.
Pothole filling, I'd like a human doing that, actually.
Maybe.
I would.
Yeah.
They just actually give them credit where it's due. They just did my street finally after 5 years. Thanks for coming, buddy.
Thanks,
It's good
Matt.
quality program today.
Yeah, and it's amazing that we did not talk about the things I thought we were going to talk about.
We rarely do.
That's fun.
Follow Alex on Instagram. Also, he does the Human Driving Association, which I'm in theory involved in, although I haven't.
I
actually
want you
done
on the
anything.
board. I think you should maybe.
I said yes to everything.
I think you should be the
give me
chairman of the board.
Give me something to do.
Oh, I'll come back after the movie's out. We'll talk about HDA and the movie.
Yeah, give me something to do. I will lobby for the
Yeah.
rights of human drivers.
Thank you.
NoHo Sound, if you want a dope stereo in New York.
Yep.
For your home.
Best audio store
High end.
in the planet.
High end.
Yep.
And I believe can we talk, is Christian, or is that a public thing that Christian is going to be doing a set or two at NoHo Sound?
Oh yeah,
Christian James
Yeah.
Hand, who is one of like my favorite people.
He's a genius.
He's like him and Carl Ruiz are my two favorite new adult friends. I'm so happy that this is the kind of people I'm becoming friends with as an adult.
Yeah.
So he's going to do what, like some sort of a residency, or
I think he's going to do 2 shows in July at NoHo Sound, New York, and which are going to be super. I mean, super top secret in that no videos allowed.
Yeah.
No recording. But 100% attention demanded because he's a genius and his performances are unbelievable.
Yeah.
Do you want to explain what his performance looks like?
He's been on the show twice.
That's all they know.
And maybe they know, but if they don't, what Christian does is he deconstructs music, popular, rock or rap, not rap so much, but classic rock songs a lot. He's on Instagram. King Trut is his Instagram.
Can you imagine if music education in high school today
was him? Oh my God.
Every kid would be a better. I can't wait for him to get to Beethoven.
Christian's website is thesessiononair.com, and he deconstructs music in very interesting ways. He actually performed at my wedding, and it was the fucking dopest shit ever.
I know we have to go, but I got one more thing for you.
Sure.
You ever see the movie Run Lola Run?
No.
Come on,
I know what
man.
it is. I'm sorry.
Okay, but think about what Christian does to music.
Uh-huh.
I've always wanted to see a car movie where the driving sequence is deconstructed the way Christian does a song.
Oh, like a chase scene?
Yeah, where you take a scene, take 10 seconds of driving, take the 10 seconds prior to a crash in a famous race, and deconstruct it.
Like here's where this went
where
wrong.
You, Matt Farrer, you and a physicist, and an ex-NHTSA guy, and a race driver. You sit there and you go frame by frame. You're like, at this moment, this is what happened.
Here's where the tire explodes.
And you pull out the sound. You pull out the video and you deconstruct that.
That would be crazy.
Yeah, I would. And the movie Run Lola Run does that for like a bank heist kind
really?
of. It's awesome. And it's
check that out.
Yeah, you should.
Okay,
because it'll get you thinking.
Well, Christian's going to be doing some secret sessions at Alex's NoHo Sound. So check out thesessiononair.com. Is he going to sell tickets to that? How does that work?
The tickets will be sold. That's on him.
Via Christian?
Yeah,
okay, go to
yeah,
thesessiononair.com and get
yeah.
tickets that way. I wish I could be there, but I'm going to come do another one because I'm going to see my friend Carl Ruiz at his new restaurant, La Cubana, and then I'll circle through and do a session. Follow Alex on Instagram, AlexRoy144. Myself, The Smoking Tire, fucking on everything. You know the drill. You know the drill.
Yep.
Thanks for coming, Alex.
Thank you.
I see you soon, man.
Ciao.
I'm going on my honeymoon. So there may be a 1-episode gap before I get back. And if that's the case, I apologize in advance, but I'll be at cooking school in Italy, so I don't think they feel that bad. The Smoking Tire Podcast is, as always, powered by Shout Engine. Get your own damn podcast at shoutengine.com. It's easy. You just need a microphone, a connection to the internet, and ideally something to say. Have a good afternoon, folks. Enjoy your week.